Hey y'all. So let's dig back in. We're looking today at Esther's response to Mordecai's charge of do not flatter yourself that because you're queen and you are in the king's palace that you'll be saved above all other Jews. For if you keep silent, relief and deliverance shall arise for the Jews from somewhere else, but you will perish. So Esther 4, verse 15. Then Esther told them to give this answer to Mordecai. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. I also and my maids will fast as you do. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and did all that Esther had commanded him. So, Esther chapter 5, verse 1. On the third day of the fast, Esther put on her royal robe and stood in the royal or the inner court of the king's palace opposite his throne. The king was sitting on his throne facing the main entrance of the palace. And when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, she obtained favor in his sight, and he held out to her the golden scepter that it was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the tip of the scepter. The king said to her, "What will you have, Queen Esther? What's your request? It shall be given you even to half the kingdom." And so this happens. She finds favor, right? And she makes a request to the king to for dinner for he and Haman, and she continues to find favor with the king until at the right time. Okay, this is chapter 7. So when the king and Haman came to dine with Esther the queen, and the king said again to Esther on the second day when wine was being served, "What is your petition, Queen Esther? It shall be granted. And what is your request? Even to half the kingdom it shall be performed." The Queen Esther said, "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For if we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, for we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, slain, and wiped out of existence. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I would have held my tongue, for our affliction is not to be compared with this damage this will do to the king." Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther, "Who is he, and where is he who dares presume in his heart to do that?" And Esther said, "An adversary and an enemy, even this wicked man Haman." Then Haman was afraid before the king and queen. And the king arose from the feast in his wrath and went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Queen Esther, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. And when the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the drinking of wine, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was. Then said the king, "Will he even forcibly assault the queen in my presence, in my own palace?" And as the king spoke the words, his servants covered Haman's face. And then one of the attendants serving the king said, "Behold, the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman has made for Mordecai, whose warning saved the king, stands at his house." And the king said, "Hang him on it." So, Esther, who was afraid and said, "No, I'm not going to the king," actually was the vessel that God used to bring deliverance to his people. And if she had allowed herself to stay paralyzed in the fear of man, she would have perished, because she would have chosen to put more faith in what man could do to her than in what God could do for her. Do you see that? Where did the transformation take place? Now, this is key, because we do come in contact with the spirit of fear. We are challenged every day, right, about the spirit of fear. It came with her time fasting and praying. And we'll dig into that tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.